everyone to the April 3rd, City of Geneva, IDA meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And first, as we usually do, we'd like to read the mission statement. Paul?
Okay. The Geneva IDA was created to promote, develop, encourage, and assist in acquiring, constructing, maintaining, equipping, and furnishing certain types of projects and facilities to advance the job opportunities, health, general prosperity, economic welfare, and recreation opportunities of the citizens of the City of Geneva.
Thank you. We have the agenda in front of us. Anyone want to add to it?
There was one item I talked to Nicole about. Our July meeting is on July 3rd. So if we could maybe move that to July 10th, if everybody is okay with that. I think we just need to add a motion or something like that for that. I'm not sure we need a motion to change that date.
No, just make sure obviously when we send out the notices that we have the proper time, but that's fine.
Perfect.
Okay, so now we have the February 6th minutes.
Did we want to, I don't know if we have this the agenda, but just more of a question, unrelated to really anything we're seeing today. Did the Legion end up paying their taxes?
Not yet.
Okay, because for some reason someone told me that they had.
Somebody did say that at a meeting that I was at
Yeah.
too. I heard that.
Yes, I have been in discussions with them,
Okay,
so I do anticipate that they will be paid
okay,
based on the information going back and forth, and they've been asking for amounts and things.
sure.
I haven't checked obviously yet this morning, but I can certainly check and follow up with this group. Yeah.
Thanks. That's it.
Okay, the approval of the February 6th meeting notes or minutes, I'm sorry. Any corrections? I'll look at it. Like a motion to approve. Thank you, Josh. Good second. Thank you, RJ. Financial report.
All right. So at the last meeting, we talked about taking $10,000 from the money market account, moving it to the checking to get a couple bills paid. So I did that. And sent out a couple bills. One was for the audit of last year's audit, and trying to think of what the other one was. Something small. I will have it for the next meeting because it happened like just now, so nothing is cleared. So currently we have a CD with about 76,000 in it. The money market's down to 7,500-ish, and the bank account around 35. So that should cover us for quite a while, as long as there's no like large expenses coming through, but I don't anticipate anything. We do have the one application fee has came through for Pivotal for $500, and then there's been a couple payments, so we have a net loss so far through the year of about 9,600. Again, that's typical for this time of year. So nothing is standing out as out of the ordinary or anything like that. But we'll continue to monitor the bills due, the revenue coming in, and the bank account balance, so we don't run into any problems.
Perfect. Any questions?
We can continue to show the value of our building at 1.9 million.
I believe that's what it's assessed at. Yes. Although there is a
It was 2.5.
Yeah. Though there is a reval that'll be finalized, a revaluation of all city property that at the end of April, notices will go out to anything that changed. So I can also check with the assessor to see if she changed any value there.
Like we don't have to pay taxes on that.
Did you share an amount that the Legion project owes in back taxes?
I don't have it right now. I want to say it's around 25,000 that they owe.
I think you at the last council meeting, you heard somebody was reporting that they had paid.
Yeah, and that's what Josh had just mentioned too. So I'm gonna, after this meeting, when I get back to my office, I'll check and I'll send something out to this group to see if that's happened or not.
Okay, motion to approve the minutes.
Right.
So move.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, RJ. Okay,
We have to say aye. We have to say, we have to vote on that, right?
oh, okay.
Really
All in
quickly.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
You can't move it along if you ask all those
Sorry.
questions.
It's Robert's rules. I just embedded in.
Okay. Board member terms review. Nicole, you had some adjustments to that, or do you have something to hand out, or what do you?
I don't have anything to hand out. I didn't come prepared to talk about it, sorry. But we do have, our terms had been kind of erroneously reported as 5 years, but they're actually 7. So I will follow up after this meeting with everybody's new expirations. I'll just send you guys what I have.
All right, sounds good.
That does not include if you came on and replaced a board member and finished out the term, right?
Funny thing.
Well, so your terms, this group, I believe they're all September 30th, right? Take a quick look. So yeah, if you come into the middle of a term, then your expiration is just at the end of a term. You're not automatically 7 years.
Well, if you
But
take someone's seat.
Yeah,
Right,
right.
that's right.
But I would say that probably still needs to be updated because I'm assuming
Sure.
that person's
Right.
term was listed as 5 years.
Right,
and the
yeah.
person is 7,
It's
so.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been 7 in the bylaws for. a while.
I know, yeah. We did see that. I'm not sure at what point that
Okay.
got adjusted.
Well, I checked the
It's
open.
not an urgent,
Yeah.
it's not an urgent
Yeah.
issue today,
No.
so.
Yeah.
But I think kind of, I guess, aligned a little bit with this topic area is just, I know we're continuing to work on filling some open seats that exist. I think, so we've got 2, and it sounds like we may have 2 potential candidates. We've only received 1 application. So I know Lowell
I have-
was talking, okay.
Should I get him an application?
Yes, and if you need that link, I can send it to you.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can find it, I think.
Okay.
If-
yeah,
When you're thinking of it, just send the link
absolutely.
and I'll just take it over to him.
Okay,
He would be terrific. This guy.
wonderful. All right.
Okay, so that kind of takes care of the nominating committees at this point.
Yeah.
So That's
Mhm.
great. That's great to get 2 more opportunities.
It'd be wonderful.
Now Miles had let us know yesterday that he's not gonna be here. Do you want to kind of
Yes.
share of the?
So, what I can say on the fire inspection, I spoke to the deputy chief yesterday, and they do anticipate potentially on Monday doing that full reinspection of the property. I think we all know we can expect a long list of things from that. But as of right now, they haven't, they were waiting for Bob to get back, et cetera. So they haven't done that reinspection yet. But they were aiming for Monday. So I'll obviously keep the group updated on that. On the Department of Labor, according to Miles, they still do not have another quote for the asbestos abatement. So that is what we have to have 2 quotes. So that's really what we're waiting for there. And then there was another company that was bidding on both the pre and post inspection remediation component as well as the asbestos abatement. And so he was hoping to have that as well. Again, he doesn't have them yet. So there hasn't really been any progress on that front, but I will say we continue to speak to the Department of Labor and keep them up to speed on that because it is something that they want us to act, expeditiously on. In addition to, I don't know if you all were able to see the email from Amy to the board and council relating to our recent visit from our insurance company. They were pretty clear that we need to be moving forward in some way, shape or form. Yes, on the Department of Labor component and on the demolition or some type of plan for Building C. So I do have more copies of that RFP if folks want to actually look through it again. There's nothing major that has changed from the last time you saw it. I still need to fill in, you'll see highlighted, what day that pre-bid conference would be so folks could walk through, and then what date we want to make the proposal due. But other than that, this is pretty ready to go. I know there's other components of this that board members wanted to discuss as it relates to the GEDC. But I will say from my perspective, we've got to show some type of movement. And so that's something I think we need to consider as soon as
How many
possible.
bidders will that be sent out to?
So I plan on sending this through Contract Reporter, which will be a significant amount of folks. And then in addition to, I think it's 3 or 4 companies that we are directly aware of, have worked with previously, have given their contact information to other private companies when they've been looking for that, that will send to them directly as well. And board members are also welcome too. If you have companies that you feel would be a fit for this, you're more than welcome, or ask me to share them with them if you give me their contact information.
Do you have anything, do you need anything from us other
I
than?
mean, other than just approval to move forward with putting this RFP out, that's really all I'm looking for.
You want to deal with that now? I just have a question or two.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember dealing with two firms, and they both said that they were interested in the remediation and pipe wrap and all that. I gave that information, that memo I wrote.
Yeah.
To Miles, so I assume he talked to both of them. But
He gave us a name, so if you let me know the names of those companies, I can verify it against what he has said, because he gave us a couple names of the folks that he's waiting on
Okay,
quotes from.
okay, well, that's good.
Mhm.
As far as the RFP, it's, every word is full of information.
Yeah.
I mean, we are requesting a lot
Yeah.
from these contractors. I mean, even in the assessment of lead and asbestos and
Mhm.
bad materials that are in the building and how they're going to demo and their procedure. And we have 300,000 for the budget.
That's what the city has approved in the budget to provide you all. Yeah.
My sense is that, given the extent of the RFP, it may be double that.
I understand. I definitely understand that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a little worried that the budget's not big enough. We'll see.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think let's, take our first step. Let's get it out there, show that we're
Right.
going to move forward. I don't think it halts anything else that we want to discuss. But this shows to insurance company, et cetera, that we're at least taking steps towards figuring out. If we come to that, then, obviously we'll have a further discussion on what we do from there. If we, need to figure out additional funding or whatever path forward we end up taking.
Any other questions of Sheila about that?
Yes, I came in like halfway through this. I'm not like 100% sure on it. So the project is we have to tear down a building and then abate the other building, the whole.
Right, there's two separate things.
Yeah, so they are two separate things. So it's not the whole building at this point. There are specific areas within other parts of the building that there needs to be this asbestos abatement that's being done. According to the Department of Labor notice, that's
Okay.
what I will say on that.
Could we do it in like phases?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, I think the asbestos abatement, we don't have the quotes yet, so I don't even know kind of where we stand on the cost of that to know if it would be helpful for us to look at it that way. Obviously, the demolition, there's not really any
Yeah, that
phases we can
that's-
do on that.
That's
Yeah,
done and done.
yeah,
I didn't know, like,
but we can look at that. Yeah,
That could be done in phases. like
Yeah.
More used sections can be done first and then other ones can be done after.
yeah,
If they're just sitting vacant or they're stored,
Right.
there's not many people there,
yeah. I think
movement.
it's something we can discuss. I would say what we would want to do is confirm that with our Department of Labor counterparts, just because again, this has risen to the complaint level. And so this is in response to a complaint and then an actual notice from the Department of Labor. So we may not have a ton of flexibility on, it might just be, you've got to deal with this entire thing we said and figure out a way to do it. But once we get the quotes,
Yeah.
I think we can discuss.
It's actually the uninhabited parts we don't do. It's,
The second floor.
yeah,
Yeah,
we don't do them. And so that cuts
significant. cost.
3/4 of the work
Yeah.
down. And the rest of it is really pipe wrap.
Mhm.
And you can fix that without tearing it off. So I helped identify that. So,
Yeah,
and it took a lot of pictures and I'm sure he's used those, but who knows?
yeah.
Who's gonna walk it to show the
So-
contractors?
Our hope is Bob is going to walk it, but I haven't gotten confirmation of that from Webster.
Probably have someone with Bob.
Yes.
Can I go? Can we go?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I think we
Maybe,
can do that.
maybe. It's just that when you go as a layperson and you just have to listen, you can't really jump in technically. And I wouldn't either, even though I have some background in this. So, you're there for interest, but I think someone from Webster should be with Bob.
Yes, yeah, and I assume they
Yeah,
want
two people would do it.
Yeah.
Maybe, I think, someone step above him.
Yeah.
He has his own feelings about the building.
Yeah.
And he does state what they are,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah,
He's
absolutely.
valuable, he's
Yeah.
valuable, but sometimes it's hard to contain.
I think the other piece too is just considering the safety of folks that, it's obviously for we're demoing the building for a reason. But we would make sure all those things are, yeah.
If I was able to, I'd like to go too.
Yeah, so hopefully I can coordinate with Miles. Well, I've got other folks on the email from Webster to figure out exactly what date and time and share that with all of you. It will be shared anyways, because the 2 updates I need to make to this are that date and then the date that the proposals will be due. And so those will both all be shared with all of you, especially when it goes out.
Any other questions? All right, I'd like a motion to, I'd like to put to a motion, if everyone agrees, to actually send the RFP out for the demolition of this 3-story building at the GEDC. Someone make a motion, please?
One quick question. This has been, Steve, you legal this, right?
You took a look
I'm
at
not
the
giving,
RFP.
okay, yeah, because I offer no value to any of this, just letting everyone know. So,
Two times.
all right, yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
it. Aye.
Thank you. All right, Taylor, if you'd send that out.
Yeah. Get that done.
It's just as far as filling in the dates,
Yeah.
whatever seems reasonable.
Yeah.
New business, we do have the sales pilot vote. It's been sitting around a little bit. You wanna give us kind of background, Adam? Do you have some information? We went through the
Yes.
cost benefit and some of the things that,
Yep,
and Stephen, we made all the changes to the, from the original to this adjustment.
Yeah, so just a quick summary, and then I can let Adam chime in to the extent there's any gaps. We originally closed on this project, I believe, in 2024. At which point they requested sales tax exemption and mortgage recording tax exemption. They did not request a pilot. Fast forward, the Massa team had then requested that we essentially increase the financial assistance by providing them a pilot for their project. So what we ended up doing was they submitted supplemental materials that we took a look at. We then conducted a public hearing that essentially covered that additional financial assistance, I believe on February 12th. I don't believe there was any comments at that. And now we're basically at the stage of whether or not the board wishes to approve the addition of the pilot.
It's easy fix.
That's it.
Amount of the abatement, what's the percentage here right now?
I don't, I can, let me see if I can find it.
But as far as I remember, it's in line with kind of.
It was in line. I don't remember.
Our
the
template, it
exact,
wasn't too high or right beyond what percentages we normal that we suggest. In the packet, we have a suggested.
right, it fell within range, yeah.
Right. Okay, we would like to discuss this, but I think like a motion to approve for, and then we can discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, trying to get it right.
Yes.
It's only been a number of years here. So motion to approve the pilot for the DeSales renovation project.
So move. I move.
Thank you. RJ, second. All right, discussion. Any questions? I know you kind of came in at the end of it, but you're familiar with the property, certainly.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the property.
It's a great project.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah, and I'll share just from the city side, they also have, obtained some grants for some of the work as well. And so they continue to engage with us on that front. Yeah.
I did get a Restore New York.
Yeah.
They got about half of what they applied for.
Yeah.
I think it was about 100 and they applied for 2 or 250 or something like that.
Mhm.
So that they did receive last cycle.
Yeah.
Is there a limit on that, like time wise?
I think a couple of years.
Yes, there is, and I can provide the timeline's recently been updated and we're not fully through the approval of that updated timeline. So I'd be getting a little bit ahead of us there, but they did have an extension and a lot of that did not have to do with the project. It had to do with administrative process of getting documents approved, budgets approved, things changed. We had to get a lot of that updated. So I certainly believe it is through September of this year. I think it might have extended a little bit beyond that.
For completion of the project?
For that portion, remember, the grant is only covering a portion of the
Okay.
project.
Okay.
We'll continue monitoring for the grant all the way through the full project
Sure.
completion. Yeah. Which I think may be at the end of next year, but I'll have to look at that updated timeline.
You know, if they got the waiver from historical, the
I do believe they did that can,
windows.
yes, yes.
They wanted the SHPO wanted to maintain the existing windows and they're not very, they're old and.
Yeah.
I've dealt with that building in
Yeah.
Waterloo. Had to take all the old windows out and put double pane in the old windows.
Yeah. That was like a stumbling block when I last.
And-
went there. That was something they were still trying to resolve. So, it's not why they held up the building, but they
Mm-mm.
can't spend any money on the building until all this stuff is.
Yeah. Which we are right there. Yeah,
Gotta be close.
yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Josh. All right, we have a motion on the table. All in favor of approving this pilot application, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. So passed. Oh, and one abstain.
Is
Did you want to do a
that
roll call?
because your company you work for is involved? I don't mean to ask, you don't have to tell me. That's okay. Okay.
I think, you know, from the board's perspective, there's nothing, and I actually asked city council attorney about this. I hadn't talked to Stephen about it before, but, you know, there's no requirement for statement of why you're abstaining. I think that's just a
Okay.
practice, a best practice that we see in most situations. That's obviously if the board wanted to address that policy, you certainly have the ability to do so, but at this time, there's nothing.
Stephen, should I have done a roll call vote on that instead?
Yeah, if you want to do a roll call and then that way, if there are abstentions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a call.
We should have name tags.
I actually have roll call sheets. Oh, here we go. Roll call by. Janino,
Yes.
Mr. Passalacqua,
Yes.
readers no longer on the board, Mr. Dewey,
Yes.
Mr. Kane,
Abstain.
and Mr. Olszewski. You vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So,
Okay.
carried.
4 out of 7. And again, just to be clear, Stephen, because we've kind of gone through this, it has to be 7 of the, it has to be a quorum of the whole board, right?
Yeah, so as long as we just had 4 votes, we're good.
Right, out of the 7 that we're supposed to have. And
Correct. Yep.
kind of went through the.
Yeah.
Okay, all good. All right, next item is actually the discussion of the cost benefit analysis for the pivotal project, the 595 self-exchange project. I see Trey is here. Thank you again, Trey, for joining us. I think presentation is not necessary or anything. I think you're just, we ask you to be online just in case there is a question that you could help us with, okay?
I'll sit back and watch.
All
Holler.
right.
Yeah, so I'll start kind of process wise, then we can dive into the CPA more if we need to. So procedurally, I think when we met executive committee, the process here is we're actually going to move for the inducement resolution, which would allow us to schedule the public hearing, of course, with the posting of the CBA publicly, et cetera. So that's kind of the action of this conversation. Obviously, we can have a discussion about the CBA. I know, and I don't know if Stephen, you want to provide any more guidance on this, but we talked about in this session, it's a little bit more high level of the CBA. If we get into financials of the company questions, et cetera, we would discuss that in executive session.
Correct.
So that's where we're at procedurally. So the motion would be for the inducement resolution. We can't have a discussion about the CBA here, but if we get too much in the weeds, for lack of a better term, we'll take that into executive session. And I'll also just say, there were questions from the last meeting, that were compiled. Those were shared with, Pivotal, and they had shared the responses, and I shared those out. That was a few weeks ago. So obviously there can be additional questions, but those ones should have been addressed. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Anything, Adam? To, add to that?
No,
The action today is just to deal with the CBA.
Yes, and the inducement resolution, which just allows us to schedule the public hearing.
Okay.
Yes, there's nothing technically being approved. There's no financial assistance being approved. As was stated, all that's really being done here is simply accepting the application. So essentially acknowledging that they've filled out a complete application, and authorizing board and staff to essentially schedule and conduct a public hearing.
Do you have anything?
I do, yes. Thank you, Will. In regards to the CBA, to be honest, I don't have many comments. I just noticed some things on the CBA. So PHP Group resubmitted their application and stated that they wanted a mortgage and sales tax abatement. And I know there's possibly another entity of the Ontario municipality that they may be working with for that. But in any case, I didn't see that cost to the municipality represented in the CBA. Commonly, it would be, maybe this was something that had changed during that time, because a mortgage tax abatement, for a $20 or $30 million, mortgage is quite sizable to us. So that's something that would have to be looked into if I'm interpreting this right. And then Trey, just for a question, what was the AMI used in consideration of the project?
We have to use a bunch of different ones. So I think we have 30% units on here, 50 and 60% AMI units on this. I'm trying to pull up the budget here to make sure I'm giving you the right.
What's AMI?
Area median income.
Okay.
It is. So we have units at 30, 50, and 60. And then we have 10 units that we're considering unrestricted units on that to allow us to go after the middle income program with HCR. So those are the income.
Okay. Thank you for that. How many units are 30% just for a global scope?
There are 13 at 30. There are 19 at 50 and 22 at 60. And then I said 10 unrestricted, as I mentioned.
Okay, so 13 at 30% AMI, 19 at 50% AMI, 22 at 60% AMI, and then 10 unrestricted. And then what was the AMI itself that you used for area median income?
Though, I mean, like you're talking about what's the word? Like a combined percentage that you're referring?
No, so for instance, like in order for someone to be eligible for the 30% AMI unit, they would have to be capped at, as you know, 30% of area median income. So like, what is the dollar figure of area median income used to determine eligibility for the units?
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
So for 30%, one person, that's 21,840. For two people, it's 25,000. 3 people, 28,000. Those are the incomes for the 30% units based on.
Okay. So I'm just trying to compute, because like generally, I don't mean to get in the weeds too much, like generally say like a municipality has an area median income. And then usually housing and urban will take that area median income and then kind of move back from that. So if I do, because I don't know off the top of our head what the city of Geneva's area median income is. If we have to follow
Yeah, I had that piece of paper upstairs from our meeting yesterday or whatever day. The days are,
The area median income for Geneva for 50% one person is 36,400.
30, sorry, we're breaking up a little bit. What?
36,400 for a single person, 50%.
Okay, thank you so much. And then 60% for the same type, one person.
Yeah, my model doesn't show that right away here, so give me a second.
No, that's fine.
60% is 43,680 for one person.
Okay, and then last question on this part. Thank you, Trey, so much for going along with me. The unrestricted units, that could be any income, right? So there's not necessarily an anchor to that.
Yeah, that's correct. We're looking to utilize, right? So we're trying to maximize the capital stack and the funding available to this across the HCR programs that we can. So there's the middle income program that HCR has that we're going to be targeting with those units, which I think goes up to 90% of area median income. Forgive me, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but we've essentially set those rents at what the market study defined as achievable rents for those, which I'm not sure off the top of my head how that was calculated, but that was the thought process behind that.
Okay, thank you for that. So then for another portion of the CBA, when it comes to, there was an annotation related to the determined assessed value, and it looks like you are requesting the assessed value to be approximately $1.75 million on a $21 million construction project with total costs of $30 million. I'm just trying to understand how we got there.
Sure. The calculations should be in the information that was provided to you all, but essentially what we have to do in the broad scheme of things is we have to take into consideration the rent restrictions that come with the tax credits that are utilized for this. So, although so what we essentially do is we take the rent restriction and the income generated from that rent restrictions that we have, multiply that by a loaded cap rate, which includes the cap rate for affordable housing developments that are selling generally around New York State or around Geneva, and load that with the tax rate that Geneva and Ontario County has. And then you just calculate through it and it spits out the value, which should be in a chart that we provided to you guys there.
Yeah, we'll look for that. Thanks, Trey. And then for the CBA, just a couple other brief things. We noticed in the CBA that the full assessed value is, I'm not totally sure how we did that here, because in other developments that we just recently reviewed, the full assessed value is shown at what the property would truly be assessed at, negating any pilot. So like, for instance, we just saw a development where the full assessed value was hundreds of thousands of dollars versus here it's shown for year one at $66,485. So I don't know if this is, right or wrong, but we just looked at two different projects and we're looking at the calculation. This probably isn't anything to do with you, Trey, at all. We have two projects side by side and we're looking at the full assessed value substantially different, which is resulting in a change in the net present value of the benefits to the municipality when we look at them side by side. So there's a difference in how we're calculating this. So that is something that does need to be addressed because we just saw another project that we use the same template.
Which could be a good question for
MRB.
MRB.
Yeah, I can definitely follow up on that for sure.
Yeah, we will want MRB to confirm, but Trey, just a question for you. Would you guys, if you weren't coming through the IDA, would you qualify for a 581A pilot?
Yeah, so I did that calculation as well from the income approach way of.
Yeah, so we'll want MRB to confirm, but that may be possibly what they were getting at, is if they didn't have a pilot, they would otherwise be entitled to do a 581A, which drives how that
Business
value is assessed. But again, have MRB confirm that.
Yeah, we could, yeah,
Okay,
not a problem.
and then just two other brief things. Anyone jump in? The proposed pilot payments in the CBA are different than an internal document we received for the proposed pilot payments. So I'm not sure which one we would go off of for an initial negotiation. That was one thing. And then the next piece was there was a comment about like what the estimated maximum tax payment that could be sustainably supported on the development. I guess, how did you determine that? It's probably a very broad range question, but you guys are, you know, experienced in this.
For me, how did we come up with that?
Yeah.
Walk you through that methodology. So we take the methodology from two perspectives, right? We look at what Stephen mentioned on the 581, the income approach way of doing this, right? Here's what the income that the property generates. This is the assessed value that we get, and that comes up to, I think in the calculations we presented $900 or something like that a unit for this development. Then we have to that is a straight just income approach to the project. What we then have to layer into to develop the what can we sustainably generate is we then have to layer in our debt service and other payments that come into this that come sort of after the income generation. So once you start layering those aspects into it, looking to maximize the borrowing that we can, looking to maximize all of the resources that we have available, that's sort of the economic feasibility calculation that we presented to you all. That comes out to be like $690 or something like that a unit. So we have both of those somewhere again in there. There's a chart that kind of outlines both of those calculations and how we determined it and expressed the methodology. But that's essentially it. So based purely on the income that it generates pre-debt service, this is what it can generate. Once we start layering in the actual other physical costs of the development, post just straight income generation, that's where we get the economic sustainable calculation.
Thanks, Rick. And I do know I haven't received anything. Maybe other people have parent and affiliate financial information that was stated that would be provided. I don't know if we've gotten.
I don't believe so. No, I don't. No, not yet.
What are you looking for there? I'm sorry.
At the last meeting, just as part of the traditional application, we received parent and or affiliate financial information for, what would be sponsor backstop in the case of financial insolvency of the project.
Okay. So you're looking for the pivotal financials. Is that what you're looking for? And that's what we haven't received yet?
I believe that's what it is. We notated it at the last meeting. We discussed it at the last meeting. I don't have those notes up in front of me right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, if we haven't sent that stuff, I'll follow up and make sure that gets over to staff there, for that. The end entity that this is going to be, with all tax credit projects, right? There's single purpose entities that are generated for all of these things. So the entity itself that we're entering into isn't going to have any financials to it, but the backstop behind that, a Pivotal and the owners in Pivotal, we can get you that information.
Thank you.
Okay, so, we're ready to take action on all sides. Any other questions?
If we take action, would it be subject to the information being provided for the discussion?
Yeah, so you're not, as Stephen mentioned, you're not voting necessarily on the applicant. We're just basically saying we acknowledge we've received this application.
Okay.
We're authorizing staff to work to schedule the public hearing. If there is particular information that, for example, if the CBA needed to be updated, I think we would need to do that prior to being able to schedule the public hearing. But all the other components we can do simultaneously.
So this
Correct. I think if we can just get this administrative act basically over, and then to the extent that there's any updates that need to be made to the CBA where, when we're discussing with MRB is we can get that finalized and we won't schedule the public hearing until the CBA is solidified. And then at that point, we'll be in a position where then we at least have the approval to schedule the public hearing. We'll schedule it on minimum 10 days notice and then we'll hold it. So at least if we can get this out of the way, then, staff and so forth, we can go back to MRB with some of the questions that Josh had, get that stuff updated and revised, and then that'll ultimately be the final CBA that would be available for the public hearing.
Okay, is that a motion thing or is it just a
Motion for the inducement resolution, yes. Mhm.
motion to accept the inducement resolution?
I'll move.
Okay, and
To accept it.
Val's got a second, saying it's over. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
No. This is an incomplete application and we cannot determine project viability.
okay, thank you. I think we're also with Trey. All right, thank you, Trey, for joining us.
Thank you, Trey.
Thanks, Trey.
That is with a caveat that
Yes,
we won't set the meeting,
correct.
public meeting.
Yes,
We get
we'll
all,
not set a public hearing until we get all of this finally. Yeah,
right,
Yeah, I looked at this as procedural, so.
yeah.
yes, that's. Yeah. Okay, I guess, reports. Ad hoc committee on the downtown economic development.
Yes, we've had another meeting for the committee. The Business Improvement District did a presentation at that meeting. As you all were made aware, I believe in the last meeting, we were provided some information from the committee. There was going to be a request for us to provide a formal presentation with certain information that was requested of us. That request has come to the IDA again, and so right now, Amy and I need to come up with some proposed dates for when we can do that presentation. The idea is that, staff will create, of course, the guidance of the chair and the board and whatever process we want to go through. We'll create that presentation. I think it would be good to have at least the chair and the vice chair present at that conversation, at that ad hoc committee presentation. So if there's questions and discussion, that's kind of how the bid did it. They had their executive director and the chair a part of that. And so Amy and I will continue to work on what that presentation request looks like, the structure of it, the information. But that's kind of where that is. So we're kind of up next on the docket. The LDC the LDC may go before us depending on how scheduling works for Craig, Amy, myself, and Ann, and whoever else we need to make sure is present. But we're working on those dates now. So within the next few weeks, I'd say we'd be looking to present at that committee.
City updates.
The main item, I had several, questions for, Webster on GEDC, but obviously with them not being here, I'm gonna set those aside. On, just, for the sake of update, the city did receive a, grant to do a city-owned parcel review and housing readiness assessment. It's $250,000 grant with no match requirement, and so that's pretty much the budget is the $250,000. What it will look like is it will be essentially kind of a high-level assessment of all city-owned parcels. Then we would from there narrow down to 3 to 5 particular parcels to actually in the end potentially create developer prospectuses or whatever materials make sense to make it marketable to a housing opportunity. And so I just think that aligns well with the mission here of the IDA and would have you all aware of that project and keep you in the loop as we continue to develop that. I think it's a really great opportunity to at least get some marketable materials that staff doesn't have the time to be able to create, to offload some of this property to turn it into housing. That's been identified as a priority for council, for the community, and of course, ultimately then for city staff. Also, yeah, go ahead.
They're only limited to housing,
Yeah, so the housing, so I will say yes, but arguably, if we were, for example, in a mixed use district
Correct.
zoning wise, we would be looking at that, first floor commercial space or whatever it would be, to create that
It would be
perspective.
good if we had parcels that certainly that the city owned.
Yes,
Which it would also, well, I guess there are a couple parcels over in the industrial park, very small.
yeah,
We don't own that completely.
Right.
The city doesn't, but there's parcels where Market Basket used to be is actually a fairly nice
yeah,
developable
yeah.
site. I know there's a couple other, but be nice if that was included. But the grant is only for housing
Yes.
opportunities.
Correct. Yes, that's
That
the,
is mixed use industrial there, so.
Right.
I think you could probably be nice to put on the list.
yeah, no, that's,
And it's only for city-owned properties?
yes,
How many are there?
Adam, do you know the answer to that?
Uh,
We had a full list, I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Are there any big properties, like over an acre?
no, I don't.
I don't,
So what, we're 250,000 to assess, like, maybe 10 small properties? Can we look at undeveloped properties that are privately owned?
we cannot do privately owned, this is, yeah, municipally, no. We
Because
cannot.
every once in a while, someone will come to me because I used to do layout work for that kind of
Yeah.
property. And there are some big parcels that are privately owned that
Yeah,
could be developed, and for 250 grand to just look at the city-owned property, I think that's a big number for a small project.
yeah, I definitely know, it's more than 10 properties, that I know for sure, it's, yeah, that I know for a fact. And again, I think the bulk of that cost really comes in the development of, like, once we've identified these 3 to 5 properties that we say we want to market these, that's a significant cost to get somebody to create a prospectus that is going to entice developers to that. Obviously when we submitted the application, we based our cost off a couple of quotes we got from different consultants that do this work, and it came in at $249,900, I think is what it was. And so we were able to get the full amount, which I think is awesome from the city's perspective. We were one of like the highest funded one. So the state saw value in what we were trying to do. But I also think potentially it is a more difficult thing because we are dealing with smaller properties, thinking creatively about how we optimize those properties, and spending some time and money on looking into that. But yeah, I definitely hear that.
So just looking to build single family homes there or?
And we didn't it's open to what our consultants can take a look at and tell us based off of zoning. There's also, but within that, there is work that can be done to say, hey, we propose that the city considers changing this component of the zoning map. We doesn't mean we have to, but it's a recommendation and then looking into it. So there may be pieces around that as well that would be involved in the recommendations that came from the consultants in that first phase before we dove into developing things that we, the specific properties.
Okay.
One other thing, I just wanted to, so we had met, probably over a month ago now, IDA, LDC bid in the city to discuss the economic development strategy. Since that meeting, I saw that the LDC has actually included a check-in of sorts on the components of the strategy that relate to them on their agenda monthly. And I think it may be a good idea for us to consider at some point creating some regular check-in to a document that we did pay to be created. I know there are components of this, we discussed this when we met as a group, that don't make sense. They're not really achievable by the group, but I think that's valuable in talking about as well. And helping us stay focused on our mission, on some of these, what has been assessed as a good use of our time and efforts. So that's just a suggestion I wanted to throw out there for consideration by the board, and somehow integrating a check-in of sorts,
So
taking a look back at this.
obviously, as you just mentioned, the checklist
Yeah.
is very optimistic.
Mhm.
And should we discuss what we want on the checklist?
Yeah,
don't
I think
know
that'd be
if we want to
good.
Go down 20 items, of which 12 of them are unachievable.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good first step, is and I can obviously recirculate copies of this for folks who haven't seen it. taking a look at that and yeah, if we could, have a quick discussion next meeting on these make sense, these don't make
How
sense.
about this for a process? If you could send, just that
Yeah.
part of that report, that kind of what our work
Yeah.
is supposed to be focused on. With everything, and then just circulate it to all the members.
Yeah.
To the five of us, and then we can maybe just make a note, yeah, agreed,
Yeah,
kind of outside our unrealistic or whatever, and then maybe then you could pare it down and say, okay, this is what the internal survey did.
yeah, I think that's a
That
good,
we could add it to our I don't know, would you call it administrative portion of the agenda?
I could also, from the executive director side, I could try to structure my updates and the items that I bring forward
That
in
would
that
be- that
section
would-
around
That's a good process.
what we
I like
decided
that
is.
process.
So that's what I'll propose to do based off of the feedback that I get from
If you
you.
could have that for us next meeting.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
because then
perfect.
we could then start responding to what this.
Maybe a work session, like a little quick work session, we all look at it together, or you want-
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
put it on the agenda for next, that's why it'd be good if we could do.
Get it ahead of time.
A preview
Mhm.
so that we can kind of think about it
Yeah.
and then go down for comments and then
Yeah.
put on the agenda for next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that. And I think it prepares us well with the last thing from the city side is, we did also receive a grant to update and create a new comprehensive plan. And so we're gonna be moving forward with that process alongside council. And obviously, the work of the IDA is very strongly tied and has to be strongly tied to that component. And so I think this helps us start to think in that way. Because to me, one of the first phases of that comprehensive plan is taking a look at all of these strategy plan documents that we've created over the years and assessing what's the progress we've made on them, what still makes sense, what doesn't make sense, so that it can make its way into the new document. As well as celebrate some of the successes I think sometimes fly under the radar. We get so focused on, what we still need to do. There have been good achievements along the way, and I certainly think the IDA has things to celebrate in that regard.
Okay, that's good. Any other questions, Taylor? Good. All right, Chris, you have a few minutes here to let us.
2 minutes.
No,
No, clear way to vote there. I just wanted to say that the efforts, you're feeling some of it coming back to you here of the trying to get the council more aware of the many people working on economic development. But much of the work happens in what I consider to be almost private back rooms compared to what the council is aware of it and understands. So this whole effort to get these many organizations that have to do with economic development, council aware of it and its role, because most of the organizations like yours has a very heavy engagement of city engagement, but is mainly at the administrative level and doesn't come up to the council. So when questions like where our DPW is going to be located in the future, as you're discussing selling a building that they're in, that can come to us as a council at a very late moment. And then they're not up to speed on it, and they tend to make poor decisions, in my opinion, watching the last 10 years over things. And we have got an ad hoc finance committee that is very close to putting out a dashboard that is going to clearly signal when the council and this city is going overboard on spending on capital plans and things like that. And some of that also has to do with you, because we're looking at our investment in the people who are working for us and working with you. Are we getting our money's worth? And how do we as a council express our hopes for results and analyze what our investment is coming from? I brought up a number of times, not just one of 9, remember the thought that given the change in economic development in this region, that the city and county working together again might be a better move. How do we get that injected into the conversations of LDC, IDA, the county, where we pay $8 per thousand to the county on our taxes? That's half of what the city's taxes are, and yet we don't really engage in as much as a council. So you're finding that you're in a process of the council and the new mayor setting up standards for the performance of the people who are working with us and for us. And that's gonna, you'll start feeling more of that. And I think maybe it might, in addition to the coming to the council to lay out what you're doing, it might be a great thing for the new mayor to come in and talk to you about what he's doing across the city, and leading a new council effort to ask some tougher questions about the performance, not just of you, but of the whole organization on these fronts. Right now, there's nobody on council other than me, because I've been digging around and hanging around a little bit, that knows that there's an offer for the building, that there's the IDA. The IDA is, there's been discussions about whether the DPW can assume responsibility for the portion of the building we're in. These are things we're hearing through the background of what's going on with the building. And I think there needs to be more cohesion, which is an odd thing to say, given the fact that we have executives from the city working with the IDA, and yet the council is pretty much insulated from it at this point. So what you're seeing is us and me push to say, okay, we've been doing these things for a long time. We still have twice the level of taxes in this city as anyone else in the county. And we have to look at everything we're doing, see if we can do it better, smarter, and more efficiently. And you'll be hearing more of this from us, not as an attack on you. Frankly, I consider it much more an attack on the council's past inattention to the full range of complexity of a $28 million business here. So I just want to let you know, all these things going on, no intention to offend anybody for the work they're doing. But there's some questions that need to be asked about the performance of the council and the administration being employed.
One point of clarification, there is no offer being discussed about any building
Yeah.
at this time. I just want to clarify that one piece. That is not a,
I realize
Yeah.
that I'm not
Yeah.
involved in your decisions. These are things that are circulating in town that we hear about. And
That
that's,
stuff that we're talking about here, because this is a public meeting.
Yeah,
Are council
right.
not getting on and listening to our meetings, or, well, I mean, I don't understand, I guess. Could you clarify a little bit about?
so what you're seeing is an effort by the new mayor and the new council as it's constructed to be more transparent, be more open about where we are financially.
Sure.
We're about to announce that our full indebtedness of the city is $88 million, not what we've been saying in the past or what's been apparent in our budget. And these things are going to be generating rethinking. And I think we have to figure out as a council, how do we inject ourselves into all these organizations that we are not in charge of? They're independent, but they're funded by us and engaged financially with us. The bid, for example, takes money from every property downtown. The city collects it, gives it to them. But the question of accountability for how they're performing is something that should be on the council's job to look at what we're doing there. And that also is another organization that involves some of our executives on their board. So
Hey, Chris.
that's it. Thanks.
So Davis?
I think you was longer than 2 minutes.
I warned you.
Supervisors, adopted our strategic plan. I think it's on our website now, if anybody wants to take a look at it. I would make hard copies, but it's pretty lengthy. So I encourage you to go on the website. If you do want a hard copy, just let me know and I can put off. It's a lot of what we've been talking about at the county level for the last 4 years since I've started. It's a lot of small development, we were housing, infrastructure, ways to collaborate across the county with all the different groups that are involved in economic development. We have a pretty deep dive, and I'm happy to continue to work with the Geneva and city of Canandaigua, although I'm here. Canandaigua gets jealous when I'm over there. You guys don't care so much, but other than that, the annual report will be given to
Board of Supervisors this cycle, so then it's to make that report card was strong. A lot of activity, including the city of Geneva. Continue to work with staff at both LDC and IDA and bid to try to help wherever we can. The pivotal project that you're considering today, all trying to get them in touch with and connected to utilities, with an issue. With that, so whenever we're called in, we're happy to help out. And then spring is almost. Almost here.
Any questions of either Chris or Ryan?
You had some people at the bid grand opening. That was neat. That was nice that you were there and helped organize that. I attended, so I thought it was pretty neat.
I was everywhere. Everybody wants to talk to Melody and she got the coolest job in all the county. We're happy to be involved with those things.
That's good.
Through our efforts in community development, we're hoping to be a lot more.
Okay, do you want to go into executive session to explore some questions on primarily the pivotal?
I think the other discussion requested was around the sale or lease of real property on the IDA.
Okay, oh, yes.
Yes.
I know what you mean. So that's my list. Okay, so, do you have that statement? You used to have the statement on there, what
Oh.
motion that we're supposed to.
Okay, I'll re-add that. That's my fault.
I did not remember, or did not, I should.
Make a motion.
At the bottom. Where is it?
Make a motion to enter
Is
executive.
that all it needs?
I believe so.
Executive session to discuss the sale or lease of real property held by the NDA. Okay, I thought it was a longer statement.
It might have been on the old agenda.
Yeah, okay, okay.
You got the motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, RJ.
I'll second.
Thank you, Josh.
Give me a second to
Yeah,
get out
wait,
YouTube before you talk.
Get off the.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.